Welcome to the channel, and today we'll be breaking down Eminem's verses on Renegade, a track produced by Eminem for Jay-Z's Blueprint album. Hello again, and today we'll be breaking down Eminem's verses on Renegade and also talk about some facts about the track at the end of this video that most of you probably didn't know about, and be sure to hang around to the end of this video to find out the meanings behind the lyrics and also some interesting facts about the song. Right off the bat, Eminem's flows, lyrics and delivery were unmatched on this track, and some may say otherwise depending on who they generally relate to more, Eminem or Jay-Z, but overall it's safe to say Eminem took this and ran away with it. If you want to know my personal opinion on this, I share the same view as Nas. According to Nas in Ether, Eminem murdered Jay on his own song, and even Jay-Z in an interview with Rosenberg Radio admitted that Eminem had the better verse on Renegade. The effects of Eminem's verses on Renegade even popularized the term renegading, which pretty much means getting to outdo an artist on his own song, and this is something Eminem in his entire career is known for. In fact, even rap greats like Snoop Dogg would rather not have Eminem on any of his albums because of what happened in Renegade. Before we dive in deep into Eminem's verse, Eminem haters out there need to know that we are in no way insinuating that Jay-Z's verses were weak. They were great, and it's better for music fans to just enjoy a song rather than debate about who murdered who, but in hip-hop, who bodied who will always be a topic for discussion, so no need to shoot the messenger here. As we begin, remember to subscribe if you're new to the channel and turn on notifications. Jay-Z's verses were mostly aimed at critics who said he's forgotten about his roots and lost his way, and Eminem's verses on the other hand were about critics who consider him to be a bad role model for children, and Eminem's verses on this song is something I'd like to describe as the pinnacle of when a rapper checks all the boxes on a hip-hop song to deliver something special and pleasing to the ears on every listen. Eminem right off starts with critics who think he's supposed to play the father figure for kids.
Since I'm in a position to talk to these kids and they listen, I ain't no politician, but I kick it with them a minute.
Eminem in several records before this often played around with the notion that he's supposed to take care of other people's kids by watching what he says on his records. And now's a great time for you guys to check out Eminem's Bad Influence song released in 1999, which is also one song Eminem takes a playful approach to address these issues, but on Renegade, Eminem is coming off more serious here as he addresses this. They believe he's a menace, which is pretty much a person that is likely to cause harm, and if this is what they believe, Eminem is ready to accept it if it pertains to him. That's a translation of Eminem's line, "If the shoe fits, I'll wear it." Decades before Eminem became a worldwide star who critics now describe as having a negative influence on the youth of the country, Elvis Presley, who is often referred to as the King and regarded as one of the most significant cultural icons of the 20th century, was also known to infuriate parents and was criticized for having a negative influence on youth at that time, and Eminem states that he's next in line in the next bars.
Now who's the king of these rude, ludicrous, lucrative lyrics? Who could inherit the title, put the youth in hysterics?
Eminem on this track now considers himself to be the heir to succeed Elvis as the next cultural icon that has a strong hold on the youth, but also strong hate from parents. Eminem's rhyme scheme and flow in this bit of the song is also godlike, to put it simply. Of course, Eminem's lyrics were bound to spark controversy at that time, since he was relatively new in the public eye, with a widespread reach across the music industry stretching across borders, and for many listeners, lyrics on Eminem's songs were something they never heard before an artist like Eminem came on the music scene, and many found this strange and highly offensive. As expected, the powers will try to censor you when they believe you're becoming too big for your own good.
Using his music to steer it, sharing his views and his merits, but there's a huge interference. They're saying you shouldn't hear it.
And this bar is a direct reference to the efforts by the likes of MTV and radio in general. Even to this day, many radio stations do not play Eminem's music, and if his success depended on platforms like the radio, Eminem would have been forced into early retirement in 1999. There were also efforts by groups who believed Eminem's music encouraged hate, who conducted protests to ban his music. Efforts were made to stop him from participating in award shows like the Grammys, and even efforts have been made to stop him from performing in countries like Canada and the United Kingdom. A popular effort like this was when Ontario Attorney General Jim Flaherty attempted to prevent Eminem from performing in Toronto by stopping him at the Canadian border based on the grounds of advocating violence on females in his songs. Eminem in the next bars describes how his songs could be classified.
Maybe it's hatred I spew, maybe it's food for the spirit, maybe it's beautiful music I made for you to just cherish.
Of course, many fans will view his lyrics as food for the spirit, especially since Eminem has lots of songs that help many get through tough times and keep people motivated. And fans also find his music highly enjoyable musically, but for critics, all they see is hate. It's like looking for something to complain about when you don't like someone. Of course, you're going to ignore all the good and helpful efforts and focus on the details that don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
But I'm debated, disputed, hated, and viewed in America as a motherfucking drug addict, like you didn't experiment and not.
You don't have to look hard enough to know that parents and politicians who criticize Eminem for his lyrics and labeled him as a drug addict were just hypocrites. These parents and politicians grew up in the 60s and 70s, which was an era known for heavy drug use and drug experimentation. So at this time, they called him a drug addict when in reality, they most likely also experimented with drugs at some point in their lives. So Eminem pointed out the hypocrisy. Eminem at this point was not a drug addict and only experimented like many baby boomers did in their era. But unfortunately for him, when 8 Mile was filming, he stepped on his path to drug addiction that nearly destroyed him in 2007. Of course, hypocritical parents are often embarrassed by their past and will stop at nothing to hide it from their kids. But while they take the moral high ground when it comes to criticizing public icons that they believe negatively influence their kids, these parents are often in marriages that are falling apart, and extensive research on this has showed how troubled marriages negatively affect children for the rest of their lives. While they are quick to criticize presumed external influences in their homes, they are not the positive role models that their kids deserve. But it's human nature to blame others before blaming oneself, and Eminem points this out.
You fucking do good, it's too bad you couldn't do good at marriage.
And these days, kids are even used like property and assets similar to cattle during divorces. Eminem's entire verse up to this point is one extended stroke of genius, and notice how the rhymes and syllables present in the third line of the song, shoe fits a word, is continued up to this point in the song. I'll be making a shocking reveal at the end of this, so I'll skip one explanation for now. And Eminem ends the verse after introducing Jay-Z as Jigga by referring to himself as the Sinister.
Cause here we go, he's chicken, and I'm the Sinister. Mr. Kiss My Ass is just
Eminem has said in several songs that critics can kiss his, and sinister in that line pretty much means two things. For one, sinister is giving the impression that something evil is happening or will happen, and it is also an old-fashioned way of referring to something that's off, on, or towards the left-hand side. The left is often associated with evil and the devil, and Eminem is fine with being viewed this way, and is also a left-handed person, ironically. At the start of Eminem's second verse, Eminem goes in hard, and if there was a hip-hop university, this will probably be number one on the list of verses used to teach final year students how they are expected to open a verse.
I'm a poet to some, a regular modern day Shakespeare. Jesus Christ, the king of these latter-day saints here.
Here, Eminem refers to himself as a modern-day poet who has influenced people across the globe through his music similar to religious influences on people, but in a sacrilegious manner. Slim Shady is Eminem's alter ego that is referred to as a fictional person entirely different from Eminem, and Eminem in the next bars plays on the philosophy of democracy, on how Shady can be judged.
See, it's a matter of taste. We as the people decide if Shady's as bad as they say he is, or is he the latter, a gateway to escape?
We as the people in this bar suggest that direct democracy will be a better way to judge the Slim Shady persona rather than representative democracy, since politicians and critics alike often miss the point of his lyrics. Politicians take his lyrics literally in satirical Slim Shady songs and quote it as fact about why Eminem is a threat to society. It is quite ironic because the Slim Shady character is not even a real person, but a fictional character that is often taken seriously. So rather than letting representatives decide for us, it is up to listeners to decide if it's really hurting people like they say he is. Eminem's music for any sane fan is mostly an outlet, and a good way to describe this is like punching a bag at the gym to relieve anger and frustration. Punching a bag at the gym doesn't hurt anyone, does it? And certainly doesn't make you a threat to society. And remember, the bar ends with the lines, "Or is here a ladder, a gateway to escape?" Ladder and latter share a similar pronunciation, and when replaced with ladder, the bar still makes a lot of sense and is applicable to what Eminem's music often represents for fans. Songs that are uplifting and motivational often do just that, lift you up out of tough times in life, just like a ladder will lift you up if you're trapped in a hole.
While I'm waving the pistol at 60 Christians against me.
Eminem made lots of remarks that many religious people and leaders will find to be unfavorable. And remember, Christian rapper KJ52, a fan of Eminem, made a song similar to that of Stan, encouraging Eminem to change his ways. Eminem even suggests that in trying to save him, they tried to silence him, and Eminem plays on the idea of the Christian baptism to suggest this.
Go to war with the Mormons, take a bath with the Catholics in holy water, no wonder they try to hold me under longer.
In the Bible, unlike how it's done in the Catholic Church these days when baptizing babies, a baptism involved submerging the body under water as a symbolic way of being reborn to now follow in the direction of God's word as a Christian. Jesus Christ was baptized this way by John the Baptist in the Bible, but Eminem suggests that they try to hold him under water for longer to silence him while pretending to save his soul with baptism. And Eminem ends his final verse with this.
Motherfuckers hate to like you, what did I do? I'm just a kid from the gutter making his butter off these bloodsuckers.
Eminem's verse on Renegade is regarded by many as his best guest verse and is certainly one of his overall best ever. But for those who believe Eminem was on his A game because he wanted to outdo Jay-Z on his own song, this is far from the truth. The song was originally meant to be for Royce and Eminem wrote his verses without an idea that he will end up with Jay-Z on the same song. When this was known, he simply removed Roy's verses and sent the track to Jay-Z, who laid his verse and sent it back to Eminem. Eminem's verse remained unchanged from the original version with Royce, so Eminem wasn't even in a competitive mindset with Jay-Z when he wrote his verses for Renegade. For competition, it's most likely the other way around, because Jay-Z wrote his verses knowing fully well he was going to be on the track with Eminem, and the only bit of Eminem's verse that was changed is this section,
Here we go. He's chicken, I'm the sinister.
where Eminem previously said, "Cause here we go, is Royce is the king of Detroit," and that's about it. So you could say Eminem out-rapped Jay-Z without even trying, and you won't be wrong, and Jay failed to outdo Eminem despite being fully aware of the situation. If you enjoy the content of this channel, consider donating to our PayPal at the link in the description of this video, and remember to check out our other Eminem lyrics breakdowns by checking out the playlist at the link that pops up at the top right corner now. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe if you're new and leave your thoughts about this in the comment section below.